remained in deflation for 6 consecutive months. Food inflation pressures, however, accentuated in February. Looking ahead, robust growth prospects provide the policy space to remain focused on inflation and ensure its descent to the target of 4%. As the uncertainties in food prices continue to pose challenges, the MPC remains vigilant to the upside risks to inflation that may derail the path of disinflation. Under these circumstances, monetary policy must continue to be actively disinflationary to ensure anchoring of inflation expectations and fuller transmission of the past monetary policy actions. The MPC therefore decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 6.5% in this meeting and also remain focused on withdrawal of accommodation. The MPC will remain resolute in its commitment to aligning inflation to the target. I would now like to provide an assessment of growth and inflation, and I will begin with the scenario relating to global growth. The global economy has remained resilient with a stable outlook as reflected in various high-frequency indicators. Now, in my statement, whatever I am saying, it is backed up with a lot of data which are there in the footnotes. So those of you who are interested could refer to this statement, which as usual will be uploaded in the RBI website immediately after this statement is over. So a lot of data backing up whatever I am saying is available in the in the various footnotes of my statement. You may like to refer to it. Let me start again on the global growth part. The global economy has remained resilient with a stable outlook as reflected in various high-frequency indicators. Global trade is expected to grow faster in 2024, although weaker than its historical average. Inflation is moving closer to targets, but the last mile of disinflation is turning out to be challenging. Services inflation in advanced economies remains sticky amidst tight labor markets. Accordingly, central banks are cautious in their communications, thereby tempering market expectations about the timing and magnitude of interest rate cuts later during this year. Equity markets have gained while bond yields and the US dollar have remained volatile. The overall outlook is challenged by continuing geopolitical conflicts, disruptions in trade routes, and high public debt burden. In the last monetary policy statement, if you recall, I had expressed concerns about the high levels of public debt in both advanced and emerging market economies, that is the EMES. These are dormant risks which could erupt abruptly. Debt to GDP ratio, which rose during the pandemic, remain elevated and are projected to increase further with rising interest burden and cost of borrowing, thus raising debt sustainability concerns. Worsening debt situation in advanced economies, in particular, can generate spillovers for the emerging market economies in the form of swings in capital flows and volatility in financial markets. The emerging market economies with rising levels of public debt in particular would be vulnerable to these spillover effects. Credible fiscal consolidation plans, particularly in major advanced economies, focusing on growth-enhancing investment would be necessary to address this challenge, not only for themselves, but also I think for the overall global economy. India, however, presents a different picture on account of its fiscal consolidation and faster GDP growth. Turning to domestic growth, the domestic economic activity continues to expand at an accelerated pace, supported by fixed investment and improving global environment. The second advance estimates placed the real GDP growth at 7.6% for 2023-24, the third successive year of 7% or higher growth. From the supply side, industrial activity led by manufacturing continued its momentum. The Purchasing Managers Index, that is PMI for manufacturing, displayed a sustained expansion in both February and March, touching a 16-year high in the month of March. Services sector exhibited broad-based buoyancy, with all sectors within the services sector registering strong growth. The PMI services remained above 60 during February and March, suggesting sustained healthy expansion. With rural demand catching up, consumption is expected to support economic growth in 2024-25. Urban consumption stayed buoyant, as evident from various indicators. Details are given in the footnote. The resilience in cement production, together with strong growth in steel consumption and production and import of capital goods, augur well for the investment cycle to gain further traction. The total flow of resources to the commercial sector from banks and other sources at rupees 31.2 lakh crore. I repeat, at rupees 31.2 lakh crore during 2023-24 is significantly higher than that of the previous year, which was 26.4 lakh crore. External demand improved in February, with exports registering double-digit expansion. Trade deficit, however, widened in February as imports also accelerated. Going forward, the outlook for agriculture and rural activity appears bright, with good Rabi wheat crop and improved prospects of Kharif crops due to expected normal southwest monsoon. Strengthening of rural demand, improving employment conditions and informal sector activity, moderating inflationary pressures, and sustained momentum in manufacturing and services sector should boost private consumption. Let me read this sentence again, because there are quite a few points in this. Strengthening of rural demand, improving employment conditions and informal sector activity, moderating inflationary pressures, and sustained momentum in manufacturing and services sector should boost private consumption. As per our survey, consumer confidence 1 year ahead reached a new high. The prospects of investment activity remained bright, owing to upturn in private capex cycle becoming steadily broad-based. Persisting let me just rephrase it. The prospects of investment activity remain bright, owing to upturn in private capex cycle becoming steadily broad-based, persisting and robust government capital expenditure, healthy balance sheets of banks and corporates, and rising capacity utilization, and finally strengthening business optimism as reflected in our surveys. I think the sentence is a bit long. It's better that I read it out again for greater clarity. And sorry about that, but I think it provides greater clarity. The prospects of investment activity remain bright, owing to upturn in private capex cycle becoming steadily broad-based, persisting and robust government capital expenditure, healthy balance sheets of banks and corporates, rising capacity utilization, especially in the manufacturing sector, and strengthening business optimism as reflected in our surveys. Improving global growth and trade prospects, coupled with our rising integration in global supply chains, are expected to propel external demand for goods and services. The headwinds from protracted geopolitical tensions and increasing disruptions in trade routes, however, pose risks to the overall outlook. Taking all these factors into consideration, the real GDP growth for the current financial year 2024-25, which started on 1st April, the real GDP growth for 24-25 is projected at 7%, with Q1 at 7.1%, Q2 at 6.9%, and both Q3 and Q4 at 7% each. The risks are evenly balanced. Turning to inflation, food price uncertainties continue to weigh on the inflation trajectory going forward. A record Rabi wheat production would help temper price pressures and replenish the buffer stocks. As you would recall, the buffer stocks had slightly dipped, but I think the record Rabi production of wheat is expected to replenish whatever depletion had taken place. Moreover, early indication of a normal monsoon augurs well for the Kharif season. International food prices also remain benign. The tight demand-supply situation in certain categories of pulses and the production outcomes of key vegetables warrant close monitoring, especially in the background of the forecast of above normal temperatures in the coming months. And these above normal temperatures, as per the current forecast, are expected to prevail in April, May and June, and not beyond June. That is the current forecast. Frequent and overlapping adverse climate shocks pose upside risks to the outlook on international and domestic food prices. Cost push pressures faced by firms are seeing an upward bias after a period of sustained moderation. Deflation in fuel is likely to deepen in the near term, following the cut in LPG prices in the month of March. Notwithstanding the cut in petrol and diesel prices in mid-March, the recent uptick in crude oil prices, especially in the recent few days, they need to be very closely monitored. Continuing geopolitical tensions also pose upside risk to commodity prices and supply chains. Assuming a normal monsoon next year, CPI inflation for, when I say normal monsoon for next year, I mean the current year 24-25. CPI inflation for the current year 24-25 is projected at 4.5%. I repeat, CPI inflation for the current year 24-25 is projected at 4.5%, with Q1 at 4.9%, Q2 at 3.8%, Q3 at 4.6%, and Q4 at 4.5%. The risks are evenly balanced. Now, what do these inflation and growth conditions mean for monetary policy? I have explained the growth situation, I have explained the inflation scenario. Synthesizing everything, what does it mean? What implications it has for monetary policy? And that is precisely what I would like to explain now. Inflation has come down significantly but remains above the 4% target. Food inflation continues to exhibit considerable volatility, which is impeding the ongoing disinflation process. High and persistent food inflation could unhinge anchoring of inflation expectations, which is underway. Our ongoing effort is to ensure fuller transmission of policy actions and anchoring of household inflation expectations. The strong growth momentum, together with our GDP projections for 24-25, give us the policy space to unwaveringly focus on price stability. Now, 2 years ago, around this time, when CPI inflation had peaked at 7.8% in April 2022, the elephant in the room was inflation. The elephant has now gone out for a walk and appears to be returning to the forest. We would like the elephant to return to the forest and remain there on a durable basis. In other words, it is essential in the best interest of the economy that CPI inflation continues to moderate and aligns to the target on a durable basis. Till this is achieved, our task remains unfinished. The success in the disinflation process so far should not distract us from vulnerability of the inflation trajectory to the frequent incidence of supply-side shocks. Our effort is to ensure price stability on an enduring basis, paving the way for sustained period of high growth. I would now like to turn to the aspect of liquidity and financial market conditions. In the February monetary policy statement, if you recall, I had mentioned that liquidity conditions were driven by exogenous factors which were likely to correct in the foreseeable future. Liquidity conditions eased during February and March in the wake of increased government spending, Reserve Bank's market operations, and the return leg of US dollar and Indian rupee sale by swap auction, which had been done earlier in 2022. In particular, liquidity situation improved in March with system liquidity turning intermittently surplus in the first half of the month. In these circumstances, the Reserve Bank conducted 14 fine-tuning variable rate repo operations, that is VRRR operations, during February and early March to absorb intermittent surplus liquidity. Anticipating the seasonal tightening of liquidity at end March, the Reserve Bank injected liquidity through variable rate, that is VRR operations, both main and fine-tuning operations. Consequently, the average borrowings under the MSF window moderated. Liquidity conditions have, however, again turned surplus from March 30th, necessitating VRR auctions from 2nd of April. So you would have noticed in the last 2-3 days, we have been conducting more than one VRRR auctions. On 2nd April, then again we did it on 3rd April. So last 2-3 days we have been doing it. And today, as you know, there is a variable rate, there is a, what you call, as per our cycle, we are doing VRR operation for 14 days, a VRRR operation for 14 days. Now, reflecting these liquidity developments, the weighted average call rate, that is WACR, exhibited a softening bias and has hovered near the repo rate since the last policy meeting. In tandem, rates in the collateralized segment of the call money market have also softened. Financial conditions remained conducive as reflected in reduced term spread in the G-Sec market and stable risk premium in the bond market. In the credit market, monetary transmission continues to be work in progress. Looking ahead, the Reserve Bank will remain nimble and flexible in its liquidity management through both main and fine-tuning operations in both repo and reverse repo. We will deploy an appropriate mix of instruments to modulate both frictional and durable liquidity so as to ensure that money market interest rates evolve in an orderly manner that preserves financial stability. The Indian rupee has remained largely range-bound as compared to both its emerging market peers and a few advanced economies during the financial year 2023-24, that is till 31st March last. The Indian rupee was the most stable among major currencies during this period. This is very important. The Indian rupee was the most stable among major currencies during this period. As compared to previous 3 years, the Indian rupee exhibited lowest volatility in 2023-24. The relative stability of the Indian rupee, which I just mentioned, it reflects, I would emphasize, the relative stability of the Indian rupee reflects India's sound macroeconomic fundamentals, financial stability, and improvements in our external position. Turning to financial stability, let me say that latest data as at end December 2023 show that the key indicators of capital and asset quality of scheduled commercial banks continued to be healthy. The financial indicators of non-banking financial companies, that is NBFCs, are also in line with that of the banking system as per the latest data available. Let me emphasize here that banks, NBFCs and other financial entities must continue to give highest priority to quality of governance and adherence to regulatory guidelines. Financial sector players by and large operate with public money, be it of depositors in banks and select NBFCs or investors in bonds and other financial instruments. They should always be mindful of this aspect. The Reserve Bank will continue to constructively engage with financial entities in this regard. It needs to be recognized that financial stability is a joint responsibility of all stakeholders. The Reserve Bank has also been engaging with the regulated entities and various stakeholders for simplifying its regulations and reducing compliance burden. As part of this endeavor, the recommendations of the Regulations Review Authority RRA 2.0 constituted by the Reserve Bank have been largely implemented. The RRA 2.0 has set a new benchmark for meaningful engagement between the regulator and the regulated entities. Moving further in the same direction, internal review groups within RBI were formed in 2023 to rationalize, simplify and remove obsolete regulations and streamline the reporting mechanism. In pursuance of the recommendations of the RRA 2.0, that is the Regulations Review Authority which was constituted by the RBI. So in pursuance of the recommendations of the RRA 2.0 and the internal review groups which we constituted in 2023, more than 1,000 circulars have been withdrawn. A master direction for rationalizing and harmonizing supervisory returns has also been issued. The Reserve Bank will continue to follow a consultative approach and undertake review of regulations in line with the evolving financial landscape. Turning to external sector, during the first 3 quarters of 23-24, India's current account deficit narrowed significantly on account of a moderation in merchandise trade deficit, coupled with robust growth in services exports.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
NDTV wins big at NBA. With 43 awards, NDTV reigns supreme. Sanjay takes home the award for Editor-in-Chief of the Year. Santosh Kumar wins Managing Editor of the Year. Vishnu Som, Maria Shakil and Sumit Avasthi take home the top honors for the Anchors of the Year. BSI, Hum Log and We the People all take home awards. And NDTV 24/7 takes home News Channel of the Year award. NDTV stands for trust.
Can you give us a few, like say 3 of your strongest takeaways of not to do's or to do's? Because it's a map, you have to parenting, it's a slow process. But the three things one can keep in mind even today in this very pressure-driven world, goal-driven world for our kids.
Well, I think the main takeaway is that parents need to connect with their children, understand who their children are.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Aarti Krishnan. Let's take a look at the top headlines. The Reserve Bank of India has left its key lending rate, repo rate, unchanged at 6.5% in the first monetary policy of this financial year. War of words between Delhi LG and government has once again reignited after the Delhi LG Secretariat's letter to the Union Home Secretary. Aam Aadmi Party has retorted, saying officers don't listen to Delhi government ministers. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi will release the Congress Party Manifesto today as the party is set to launch 25 guarantees. The Kerala story row escalates. Kerala CM objects to DD telecast. Pinarayi Vijayan hits out and calls it BJP RSS propaganda. The LDF and UDF have unitedly opposed the airing of the Kerala story. Heat wave expected in Karnataka, Telangana, Vidarbha, Odisha, West Bengal and Jharkhand. Warm night conditions likely in Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Vidarbha. President Biden warned Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that US policy on Israel depends on the protection of civilians in Gaza. The war of words between Delhi LG and government has reignited after Delhi LG Secretariat's letter to Union Home Secretary. The Aam Aadmi Party has retorted, saying officers don't listen to Delhi government ministers and hence courts are the last resort. Remember, in the letter to Union Home Secretary, LG had expressed displeasure over two issues, alleging that the government of Delhi is bypassing files and not keeping the LG Secretariat in the loop. Secondly, it also threw light on the fact that Delhi government goes to the court on every issue and is creating a false media narrative of the Secretariat, according to what the LG had written in his letter. I have with me Ishika joining us with more details. Ishika, now the Delhi government and the LG row has intensified. At this point, the letter to the Home Secretary has caused the Aam Aadmi Party to say that officers are not listening to what the government ministers had to say. This is an allegation that was made earlier as well by the Aam Aadmi Party.
Well, yes, certainly, now the back and forth between the Lieutenant Governor and the Delhi government only continues to intensify. In fact, the LG Secretariat has written to the Union Home Ministry, in fact, showing their displeasure over two issues, over the alleged instances of, of violations by the Delhi government. Now, in this letter, what the LG Secretariat has said to the Union Home Ministry is that the Delhi government is bypassing the files without keeping, the LG Secretariat in loop. They also further go on to say that the Delhi government goes to various courts on every issue, which in turn is creating a false narrative about the LG Secretariat in the public domain. In this letter, they have also given examples. One of the examples that they have shared here is that DCPCR had gone to the High Court over the allegations that funds were not being released by the LG. But later, that writ petition was withdrawn by the DCPCR. They have also in this letter, cited the example of Delhi government's Farishte scheme, as well as, over the allegations that funds to the Delhi Jal Board were stopped by the Lieutenant Governor. Now, in fact, the sources in the Raj Niwas say that the motive behind sending this letter to the Union Home Ministry was to apprise them about the situation that is currently happening in Delhi with the Delhi government going to the courts on the avoidable litigations. Now, let me also tell you that the Delhi government has also responded on this, saying that the courts are their last resort since the Lieutenant Governor is not taking any action on the officers who are not listening to the ministers of this elected Delhi government. The Delhi government has also said, in fact, that a repetitive request had been made earlier also to to the Lieutenant Governor to take action, yet nothing has been done. In this statement, they have also blamed the bureaucrats for stopping the DJB funds, also, for the smoke tower and the other development works here in the national capital. So certainly, the war of words between the LG Secretariat and the Delhi government only continues to intensify here in the national capital. Over to you.
We have more news coming in from Delhi. NDTV has accessed the Enforcement Directorate's charge sheet in the Delhi Jal Board alleged corruption case. According to the ED charge sheet, former Delhi Jal Board officials had taken 2 crore rupees bribe to fund the Aam Aadmi Party's electoral campaign. I have my colleague Ishika joining us with more details. Ishika, now major allegations coming out in the Enforcement Directorate's charge sheet. Take us through all the details.
Certainly, Aarti, as you rightly mentioned, in this charge sheet that has been filed by the Enforcement Directorate, major allegations are being made. The court has already taken cognizance yesterday. Now, in this 8,000 pages of, charge sheet that has been filed by the ED, the allegation that is being made here is that a 2 crore rupee bribe was taken by the Delhi Jal Board then officers, and this money was then transferred to the Aam Aadmi Party for the use in the election campaign of the Aam Aadmi Party. In fact, they also go on to say that the Delhi Jal Board, in fact, had given a 38 crore rupee tender to, in fact, to the company which was, given the role to install the electromagnetic meters in all the houses here in the national capital, despite that company not even being eligible for the tender. So this tender, the ED alleges, was given on fake performance certificates. Not just that, let me also tell you that the ED in this charge sheet has in fact named the ex-officers of the Delhi Jal Board as the prime accused, especially one of them being the chief engineer of the Delhi Jal Board at that time. Let me tell you that he has already been arrested earlier this year. But certainly, Aarti, this is not the first case that the ED has in fact filed against the Aam Aadmi Party. We've already seen the liquor policy case. So certainly the trouble continues to mount for the Aam Aadmi Party. Over to you.
Right, thank you, Ishika, for joining us and bringing us those details. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and former President Rahul Gandhi will release the Congress Party's manifesto for the Lok Sabha elections. This manifesto will focus on 5 nyayas and 25 guarantees. Take a look at more details that my colleague Sunil brings.
That's something that has been promised and no less than the author who actually brought in those amendments which have now become a bugbear of the opposition. Mr. P. Chidambaram, the then finance minister, who had brought this in 2009, is now recommending through his Congress manifesto, where he's the chairman, to actually, repeal this and bring in a new act. So it's definitely ironical, as I said, for the person who authored it to change it now and ask for its complete repeal. Apart from that, we have been talking about the 25 guarantees that they have been touching on, from the youth to women to the farmers to the tribals to various other sections where they feel the Congress party should promise the 25 guarantees that they have given. The other issue, of course, remains about the old pension scheme, where they have made it clear that they haven't really touched on it, even though it became a big poll issue in Himachal Pradesh. In Karnataka, they had not reflected about the old pension scheme. So it's in this context that the Congress party will be unveiling, trying to reconnect. They are up against a huge incumbent which has done phenomenally well, the BJP-led NDA. And it's in this backdrop that the Congress is setting its agenda by releasing its manifesto.
Now, the announcement that controversial film The Kerala Story will be aired on national broadcaster Doordarshan has provoked a response from Kerala CM Pinarayi Vijayan, who said on social media platform X that the national broadcaster should not become a propaganda machine for the BJP and RSS combined. The Kerala CM demanded Doordarshan should immediately withdraw its decision to screen the film Kerala Story. He said, and I quote, the central government should refrain from using the country's official news broadcasting organization to defame Kerala during the elections. My colleague Uma has more details.
Both the Kerala CM Pinarayi Vijayan as well as the Congress leader and leader of the opposition in Kerala, Mr. V.D. Satishan, has appealed to the union government not to telecast the film. And he has in fact said, Satishan has said that the DD should not be used for the political gains of the BJP, and that they are wanting to, the Modi government wants to create, some kind of cracks or divisions in Kerala's secular society. Pinarayi Vijayan has said that secular Kerala will stand together in resisting such attempts to, subvert the kind of a communal peace that is there and to attempt to foster communal discord. So this is becoming quite a big controversy as as DD is expected to broadcast the film today in the evening, and both the ruling party as well as the opposition party and CPIM as well as the Congress have put out statements also, other than the tweets that Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan has put out on X, saying that there should not be any attempt to polarize Kerala's secular society. This obviously comes ahead of elections in Kerala, where the BJP is also obviously wanting a bigger political presence there, and the Prime Minister has multiple times campaigned there, and his growing popularity has been a point of concern for both the left as well as the Congress in Kerala. But they have not in any of their statements linked it directly to the elections, but what they have said is that the news broadcaster should not become a propaganda machine of the BJP, RSS combined, and therefore they say that the broadcaster should desist from screening of this film, which could lead to exacerbation of communal tensions ahead of elections.
We'll continue tracking these stories for you. For now, a short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Co-president.
IPL का हल्ला बल्ला और सबसे शानदार कवरेज सिर्फ NDTV पर।
Hello and welcome to NDTV Auto. I'm here in Jaipur for Volkswagen brand conference, and they have made a slew of announcements here. Let's talk more about them with Mr. Ashish Gupta, brand director, Volkswagen India. You know, you have again changed the lineup of Taiwan. What was the purpose behind it, and will that make things simpler for people?
No, I think, the endeavor has been, and if I take you back 2 years when we introduced the Taigun, we introduced it on two-line structure, the dynamic line, which was basically based on the 1 liter, and the performance line, which was based on the 1.5 liter. Over the period of time, what we have also realized is that customers are not differentiated by, engine types. Customers are more and more moving towards style differentiation. What kind of a style appeals to me, and what kind of a style does not appeal to me or appeals to another set of customers. So the endeavor this time has been to now put our line structure in place to appeal to style more than, you know, the differentiation by the engine line. So that's what we have done. So now we have the chrome line, which is more elegant, you know, for the customers who like that kind of a design language, available both on the 1.5 and the 1 liter. And then the sporty look with more black themed exterior and interior elements, which appeals to customers who are looking for more.
Prime Minister Modi will address a rally in Rajasthan's Churu in support of BJP candidate Devendra Jajaria. Churu is a Lok Sabha seat of Shekhawati division where the BJP did not perform well in the assembly elections. Ahead of the Lok Sabha polls, BJP deploys its top guns to campaign. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath Jayant Chaudhary will inaugurate Vijay Ankhan's rally from Bagpat. BJP National President JP Nadda to hold a roadshow. Election Commission issues a notice to TDP Chief Chandrababu Naidu for allegedly derogatory remarks against Andhra Pradesh CM Jagan Mohan Reddy using words like monster, animal and thief. Rahul Gandhi to address India Bloc rally in Coimbatore with Chief Minister Stalin on the 12th of April, where Prime Minister Modi campaigns in the same state for 4 days. Assam Tourism Minister Jayantamala Barua said Prime Minister Modi will visit the state on 17th of April and address a rally. The Assam Minister also added that Union Home Minister will also visit Assam over 2 days on 7th and 8th of April. Ahead of the Lok Sabha elections, collection of postal votes for 85-year-olds and differently abled persons is being carried out in Tamil Nadu's E-Road constituency. Now in Karnataka, the big fight is for the Bengaluru rural seat. The BJP and Congress are attempting to woo the Vocaliga voters as BJP-JDU alliance has put out an open challenge to the Congress. The BJP's candidate Manjunath is a renowned cardiologist, had filed his nomination yesterday and will be taking on sitting Congress MP DK Suresh, the younger brother of Deputy Chief Minister DK Sivakumar. Do remember DK Suresh had in fact won both in 2014 and 2019 from Bengaluru rural. Take a look at this report.
There were two strong messages that Union Home Minister Amit Shah sent out as he launched his Lok Sabha campaign for Karnataka at the Channapatna town in Bengaluru's rural parliamentary constituency.
किसान महिला को वोट देंगे या कमल को वोट देंगे, आपका वोट सीधा नरेंद्र मोदी को मिलने वाला है.
The first message was of cohesion with his ally H.D. Kumarasamy, the JDS chief who's the MLA from Channapatna, and the second was to the Congress that the BJP-JDS will challenge it in the only seat that it held in 2019.
आज के रोड शो से मुझे भी विश्वास हो गया है कि कर्नाटक की जनता मोदी जी के साथ है और इस चुनाव में मंजुनाथ जी 5 लाख से ज्यादा वोट से.
During the 2019 Lok Sabha election, while the entire state of Karnataka favored the BJP, this Congress lone MP DK Suresh won from Bengaluru rural. What really made this particular constituency special for the Congress MP? Let's really find out, and also find out whether this constituency this time around will be an easy battle or a tough one for the Congress MP.
मोदी के विचारधारा को जब तक आप नहीं हटाएंगे.
When Congress stalwarts like Mallikarjun Kharge from Kalburgi and 6-time MP K.H. Muniappa from Kolar were defeated in 2019, Suresh and Bengaluru rural held out. Formed in 2008 after abolishing the Kanakpura Lok Sabha constituency, it is an OBC Vocaliga caste region of influence. H.D. Kumarasamy won this seat in 2009 but resigned in 2013. DK Suresh, who's also from the same caste, took over in the by-election that followed. He later won the 2014 as well as the 2019 elections.
How confident are you?
I'm 100% confident. People.
Money
The challenger to Suresh this time is the son-in-law of former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda, Dr. Manjunath. While he's from the JDS's first family, he's contesting on a BJP ticket. The BJP-JDS alliance is the X factor this time, and Manjunath's candidature on a BJP ticket is seen as another message of cohesion between the allies.
In urban segments, BJP has a strong base. In rural segment, JDS has a strong base. So both the parties both the party workers are working in tandem. We are campaigning and also addressing the party workers. There is a lot of jubilation, enthusiasm, energy among the workers. So that makes me feel that I am marching towards the positive goal.
While the doctor is hoping for alliance power and Modi factor to sail him through, the incumbent MP is hoping to prove his grassroots grip on the agrarian and semi-urban vote.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಗ್ರಾಮಾಂತರ ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅವರು MP ಕೋಟಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಆ ಕಾಮಗಾರಿಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತಲುಪಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೇರವಾಗಿ.
ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಬಂದು ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರೊಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆತನ ಇದೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ. ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಮನೋಭಾವನೆ ಇದೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನೆತನ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿದೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ.
It is not just one of the largest constituencies in Bengaluru, but it is a constituency that assumes significance because of the high-stakes battle. The battle is not just between the son-in-law of former PM H.D. Devegowda, Dr. C.N. Manjunath, but it is a battle between HDK, the JDS president, as well as DK Shivkumar, who is the Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister. DK Shivkumar usurped the Volkswagen vote base, helping the Congress sweep through the recent assembly election in Karnataka. With his relationship having soured with H.D. Kumarasamy in 2019, there is a battle between the two on who is the real Volkswagen leader in the state. Kumarasamy, meanwhile, is banking on Dr. Manjunath's medical reputation to regain his vote base in the Bengaluru rural belt. Will the cardiologist turned politician manage to bring a change of heart among voters in this fairly new constituency that has been dominated by the Congress? Well, June 4th will have the answer. With camera persons Kumar and Govind, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru Rural for NDTV.
Right, now Aam Aadmi Party leader Sanjay Singh has hit out at the Enforcement Directorate. He said the Enforcement Directorate has forced confessions out of people. Listen in.
वो बयान जो उसने सही बताया था उस पर कह दिया हम इस पे भरोसा नहीं, उसको छुपा लिया, बोले छुप जाओ बेटा। अब इसमें एक और ये है मंगुंटा रेड्डी सांसद और ये है भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के साथ उनकी तस्वीर और ये है वो चुनाव प्रचार कर रहा है, टीडीपी से चुनाव लड़ रहा है और यह है भारत का प्रधानमंत्री। इस फोटो में सबसे ऊपर उनकी तस्वीर है, वोट मांग रहे हैं कि मोदी जी के नाम पे हमको वोट दे दीजिए। अब मैं आता हूं कि शराब घोटाला भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने कैसे किया। अब एक शख्स आता है शराब का कारोबारी जिसको कहती भारतीय जनता पार्टी, घोटालेबाज है, घोटालेबाज है, घोटालेबाज है, शरद रेड्डी। शरद रेड्डी के घर पे 9 नवंबर को छापा होता है 2022 में। 9 नवंबर 2022 को छापा होता है और 9 नवंबर 2000 छापे के बाद इससे पूछा जाता है केजरीवाल जी के बारे में। ये साफ साफ मना कर देता है, कहता है मैं अरविंद केजरीवाल को जानता ही नहीं, उनसे मिला नहीं, उनसे मेरा कोई लेना देना नहीं। और इसके कुल 12 बयान होते हैं, 12 बयान। ध्यान से सुनिएगा, इसको बहुत जरूरी है, जानना जरूरी है कि दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री के खिलाफ कितनी बड़ी साजिश करके उनको गिरफ्तार किया गया। 9 नवंबर से लेकर इससे पूछताछ के दौरान इसको जो भी दबाव बनाया गया इसने मना किया। फिर इसकी 10 नवंबर को गिरफ्तारी हो जाती है। 10 नवंबर को गिरफ्तारी हो जाती है और 10 नवंबर की गिरफ्तारी के बाद इसने कुल 25 अप्रैल तक यानी कि 6 महीने इसको जेल में रखा गया। इससे बार बार कहा गया बयान दो केजरीवाल के खिलाफ, बयान दो केजरीवाल के खिलाफ, इसने नहीं दिया। 12 बयान इसने कुल दिया और 6 महीने के बाद जब इससे कहा गया बयान दो वरना जिंदगी जेल में सड़ जाएगी, बयान दो वरना जिंदगी जेल में सड़ जाएगी। अब वो कोई संजय सिंह तो है नहीं, वो शरद रेड्डी है, टूट गया। 25 अप्रैल को उसने केजरीवाल के खिलाफ बयान दिया। अब हमारे वकील फिर परेशान हुए कि जिस व्यक्ति ने केजरीवाल के खिलाफ बयान दिया उसके 10 बयान को अनरिलाइड डॉक्यूमेंट में ईडी ने क्यों डाल दिया। उन्होंने फिर कोर्ट में एप्लीकेशन लगाई, जांच के आदेश मिले। हमारे वकील गए, उन्होंने देखा ईडी के दफ्तर में जांच के आदेश मिले, वकील गए, उन्होंने देखा, सारे 10 के 10 बयान पढ़े, वकीलों के होश उड़ गए। 10 बयानों में केजरीवाल का नाम नहीं और 10 बयान जो केजरीवाल के खिलाफ नहीं थे उस पे ईडी ने कहा इस पे भरोसा नहीं, भरोसा नहीं, भरोसा नहीं। और जैसे ही उसने 25 अप्रैल को अरविंद केजरीवाल के खिलाफ बयान दिया, उसकी बेल
This show isn't just about news from the southern states. It's one that looks at the rest of India and the world from a diverse South India point of view. Because NDTV has always taken the southern view seriously.
The Southern View with Veera Raghav. Only on NDTV 24/7.
IPL का हल्ला बल्ला और सबसे शानदार कवरेज सिर्फ NDTV पर।
Too much talking but very little being said. Too many voices but hardly any being heard. You turn to a show that puts you front and center. A show that headlines the stories of the people, by the people, for the people.
Hello and welcome to NDTV Auto. What I have with me today is real special. It is the latest EV from Audi, Q6. What's special about it is it's based on a completely new platform, PPE, Premium Platform Electric. This platform Audi has developed for their electric vehicles and it has a lot to offer.
Company says the new platform PPE helps Audi Q6 e-tron achieve 30% less energy consumption with 33% better system performance. With the Q6, Audi is also introducing its electronic architecture E3 1.2, which allows customers to experience digitalization directly in the vehicle.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
The central bank leaves the key lending rate unchanged at 6.5%. The RBI governor says the outlook for agriculture and rural activity appears to be bright. The consumption is expected to support growth in the next financial year. The political showdown in the national capital, it's Delhi government versus the Lieutenant Governor yet again. The Delhi Lieutenant Governor writes a letter to the Home Ministry, says the government is going to court on every issue. The Delhi government response says the courts are our last resort. And it's a big day for the Congress. The grand old party is set to release its manifesto for the Lok Sabha polls. The Congress is set to hold mega rallies in key states, Rajasthan and Telangana. Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi to attend the rallies in Jaipur and Hyderabad. And after the liquor policy case and the arrest, Sanjay Singh says it's a conspiracy to frame the Delhi Chief Minister. AAP leader's big claim, he says, the liquor scam accused linked to the BJP. Magutta Reddy, who is supposed to be a part of the South cartel, got bail after confessing against Chief Minister, says Sanjay Singh. The Kerala story row escalates. The Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan objects to the DD telecast of the Kerala story. He hits out, says it's BJP RSS propaganda. The front unitedly opposes the airing of the Kerala story. And the summer of 24 is here. A heat wave is expected in Kerala and Telangana, also Vidarbha, Odisha, West Bengal and Jharkhand. Warm night conditions likely in the northern states. Joe Biden warns Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that US policy on Israel depends on the protection of civilians in Gaza. Joe Biden calls for an immediate ceasefire. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Vedant Agarwal. Our lead story this morning. Well, the RBI has kept a key lending rate, which is the repo rate, unchanged as expected. So the policy rate is unchanged at 6.5%. Remember, this is the RBI's last policy decision before the Lok Sabha polls. Of course, there were concerns about a heat wave impact on inflation, but the RBI governor said that the outlook as far as agriculture and key sectors are concerned seems to be bright at the moment. But the biggest takeaway, of course, is that the repo rate has been kept unchanged at 6.5%. Listen in.
The Reserve Bank MPC decided by a majority of 5-1 to keep the policy repo rate unchanged at 6.5%. Core inflation has also declined steadily over the past 9 months to its lowest level in the series. The fuel component of CPI remained in deflation for 6 consecutive months. Robust growth prospects provide the policy space to remain focused on inflation. The outlook for agriculture and rural activity appears bright, with good Rabi wheat crop and improved prospects of Kharif crops due to expected normal southwest monsoon.
And Sakshi Bajaj is joining us live from the NDTV newsroom. Sakshi, the repo rate unchanged. Was this on expected lines?
That's right, Vedant, unexpected lines, but let's take our viewers through the highlights really first. The first monetary policy decision in the new financial year, the central bank's last policy call before polls. Important for viewers to remember that, look, RBI has left the key lending rate, the repo rate unchanged at 6.5%. Now remember, the RBI governor has said that the outlook for the agri and rural activity altogether appears bright. consumption also is really expected to support growth in FY25. He's clearly stating that. But remember, the status quo decision really was on expected lines. Now, NDTV has been speaking to analysts over the past few days. And remember, while growth and inflation projections remain unchanged, the FY25 growth projection at 7% and inflation projection for FY25 at 4.5%, the inflation projection still remains above that 4% threshold. So really, inflation concerns could rise going forward given the heatwave alerts. And so therefore, this decision really was on expected lines. So how does this impact the viewer sitting at home? Well, your EMIs don't change for now. That's what really this means. So the stock markets really, while we've seen some pockets gain in trade, we've seen the realty stock surge in trade, we've seen markets overall trade marginally lower. The sentiment really at this point remains mixed, because while some, of course, were expecting the big boost from the rate cuts, largely the expectation was a status quo policy.
Sakshi, thanks very much for joining us with that and decoding the big takeaways from the central bank's decision. So the last policy call before polls, the repo rate unchanged. But moving now to the big political showdown in the national capital. It's the Lieutenant Governor versus the Delhi government yet again. This time, the Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena has written to the court saying that, to the Home Ministry, I beg your pardon, saying that, well, the Delhi government is going to courts on every small instance. Of course, bureaucrats, remember, continue to be the key flashpoint between the Delhi government and the Lieutenant Governor. And the Lieutenant Governor said that the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi is making it the norm rather than the exception to go to the courts. Meanwhile, the Delhi government has responded to saying that this is our last resort because there have been many bureaucratic overreaches in the national capital, and the Delhi government has been stripped of its powers. And joining me now, Ishika is with us live. So Ishika, as I said, bureaucrats and this bureaucratic overreach has been a key flashpoint between the Delhi government and the Lieutenant Governor, whether it's the Jal Board case or the liquor policy case. Bureaucrats who come under the LG, important to mention here, have been a major point of contention.
Well, yes, Vedant, as you rightly pointed out, the Delhi government, alleging that the bureaucrats are the one who are not listening to the ministers of the Delhi government has been one of the concerns that they have been raising for a very long time. So this is not, this is not a new issue, but certainly the war of words over this has again re-erupted with the LG Secretariat now writing to the Union Home Ministry. Now, in fact, they have written this letter to the Union Home Ministry over two issues. Number one, the LG Secretariat points out that in fact, the files are being bypassed by the Delhi government without keeping the LG Secretariat in loop. And the second point that is being raised in this letter here is that, the LG Secretariat mentions that the Delhi government nowadays goes to court for every minute issue. And because of that, the narrative, a false narrative of the LG Secretariat is being built in the public domain. Now, in fact, they have given several examples in this letter. They also mentioned that a writ petition was filed by the DCPCR in the High Court. In fact, which alleged that the funding of the DCPCR was stopped by the LG. Now, this writ petition was later withdrawn by the DCPCR. Yet, another example that has been given in this letter is, of course, the allegations of the Delhi government that LG had stopped the funds of the Delhi Jal Board. And yet another example was, in fact, mentioned in the letter is the Farishte scheme of the Delhi government. Now, the sources in the Raj Niwas say that the motive behind sending this letter to the Union Home Secretary, it was basically, to apprise about the situation in the national capital, especially with the avoidable litigations that are being filed by the Delhi government in various courts here in Delhi. Yes. Now, the Delhi government, in fact, has also now responded to this letter and said that the courts are a last resort for the Delhi government, especially because the Lieutenant Governor has not, what they allege, has not been taking any action on the officers, even after the repetitive requests being made by the ministers. Here, the Delhi government claims that these bureaucrats are not taking the directions, not listening to the directions of the ministers, and because of that, the development works in the national capital are being stopped. So certainly the war of words, continue to intensify over this matter between the LG Secretariat and the Delhi government.
Absolutely, Ishika, as you mentioned, many schemes there. In fact, the red light on, Gadi off, all those campaigns, bureaucrats have become a key flashpoint here. But stay on with us as we now move on to the other big story. Well, in the Jal Board case, the NDTV has now accessed a charge sheet filed by the Enforcement Directorate. And I remember it was a couple of days back that the Enforcement Directorate here in Delhi at a PMLA court filed the charge sheet. In fact, the court took cognizance of it. The key point in it is that the Aam Aadmi Party allegedly took a bribe worth 2 crore rupees from a key contractor in the Jal Board case and used that as poll money to fund their campaign. So that is, of course, the key allegation that the Enforcement Directorate has made. Ishika continues to be with us. So Ishika, just looking at the Jal Board case, there allegedly was a nexus between the Aam Aadmi Party, Jal Board officials and contractors, and basically the allegation is that the Aam Aadmi Party took kickbacks from the contractor, from a favoured contractor, and used that as electoral money. But what are some of the other details in the charge sheet?
Well, yes, Vedant, as you rightly mentioned, this is what the charge sheet that has now been filed by the Enforcement Directorate states. The major allegations that have been mentioned in this charge sheet filed by the ED is, number one, that 2 crore rupee bribe of 2 crore rupee were taken by the Delhi Jal Board officials, and that money was then transferred to the Aam Aadmi Party to be used in their election campaign. Now, not just that, it also goes on to mention, the charge sheet also goes on to mention that the Delhi Jal Board gave a tender of 38 crore rupees to the NGL network, who was given the role of installing the electromagnetic meters in the houses here in the national capital, even though, the company was not eligible for the tender. So basically, the charge sheet alleges that this tender was given based on the false performance certificates. In fact, let me also tell you that this charge sheet has named, several officers, ex-officers of the Delhi Jal Board as the prime accused, and also, one of them being the chief engineer at that time of the Delhi Jal Board, who has been arrested, earlier this year, has in fact, been arrested. But certainly, Vedant, this is not the first case where, in fact, the ED, the Aam Aadmi Party has again come under the ED scanner. We have already seen the liquor policy case, and now this. So certainly, the trouble continues to mount for the Aam Aadmi Party. Over to you.
Absolutely, and difficult for the party to wriggle out of corruption charges right in the middle of poll season. Ishika, thanks very much for joining us with all of those details. But staying with news of the Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjay Singh, just days after he was released on bail, he has hit out at the Enforcement Directorate, saying that the agency is forcing people to confess. In fact, he also said that one of the key accused in the case is related to the BJP. Magunta Reddy is who is talking about. Remember, he was a part of the alleged South group in the liquor policy case. Listen in.
कैसे दुर्भावनापूर्ण तरीके से साजिश रचकर इस देश के बेटे, दिल्ली के बेटे अरविंद केजरीवाल को गिरफ्तार किया गया है, और कितनी बड़ी साजिश है इसका एक एक करके आपके सामने मैं खुलासा करूंगा। ये शराब घोटाला घोटाला घोटाला, ये शराब घोटाला दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने किया है, और इसके अंदर कोई छोटे मोटे लोग शामिल नहीं है। इसका भी खुलासा करूंगा आज। इसके अंदर कोई छोटे मोटे लोग शामिल नहीं हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के शीर्ष नेतृत्व के लोग इसमें शामिल हैं।
And moving now, it's a big day for the Congress today. The Grand Old Party is set to release its manifesto for the Lok Sabha polls. In fact, mega rallies have been planned in Jaipur as well as Hyderabad. Remember, both strategically chosen states. Rajasthan is where the party lost assembly elections. In fact, Hyderabad in Telangana, of course, is one of the few Congress-ruled states left. So the manifesto is going to be launched by Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, of course, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge at the party headquarters in the national capital. What are going to be some of the key themes in the manifesto? My colleague Sunil Prabhu has more details.
That's something that has been promised and no less than the author who actually brought in those amendments which have now become a bugbear of the opposition. Mr. P. Chidambaram, the then finance minister, who had brought this in 2009, is now recommending through his Congress manifesto, where he's the chairman, to actually, repeal this and bring in a new act. So it's definitely ironical, as I said, for the person who authored it to change it now and ask for its complete repeal. Apart from that, we have been talking about the 25 guarantees that they have been touching on, from the youth to women to the farmers to the tribals to various other sections where they feel the Congress party should promise the 25 guarantees that they have given. The other issue, of course, remains about the old pension scheme, where they have made it clear that they haven't really touched on it, even though it became a big poll issue in Himachal Pradesh. In Karnataka, they had not reflected about the old pension scheme. So it's in this context that the Congress party will be unveiling, trying to reconnect. They are up against a huge incumbent which has done phenomenally well, the BJP-led NDA. And it's in this backdrop that the Congress is setting its agenda by releasing its manifesto.
So the party will be releasing its manifesto shortly. This remains our top focus on NDTV. We'll take a short break now. News continues on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand. Co-president. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
You basically say to parents, stop chasing happiness and success for your kids. I'm like, hey, but if nothing else, I should at least be doing that. And in today's very goal-driven, success-driven world, I'd be like, I get it, but I don't want my kid to be left out. I want to give them the best chance.
Right, so let's just take success first. And most Indian parents will have to admit, even in the privacy of their own solitude, that success is their main goal in raising their children. And when we raise children with this goal in mind, what we often do is become blind to who the child really is. When we drive our children to success, we objectify them. And no parent likes to admit that they're doing that, because we pretend to ourselves, we lie to ourselves that all our pushing is coming because we care about our children. We love our children, but that's not the truth. We care about ourselves. We love ourselves. We feel good to have our children be successful. And if our children fall off the wagon, it makes us feel anxious.
But then you also say, don't push for happiness. Don't make that your big goal either. Can you tell us why? That sounds like a really different way of looking at things.
We want our children to be happy. Well, what that really means is we want our children to be really happy because that makes us feel as if we're good parents. It makes us feel in control and as if we're successful. Our children are going to have a lot of unhappy moments in life. Life is not about just unilateral, unilinear feelings. In fact, pain, fear, anxiety is part of the human experience. And in fact, that's what actually keeps us safe sometimes. And that's how we're wired to know that there's danger. And that's how we grow. Our children will pay a price. They may not tell us right now, but they will pay a price in their own life because they will be
Welcome back. Now, a special hot seat series. The constituency in focus is Bengaluru Rural. Of course, it's a Vocaliga stronghold there, and also the bastion of DK Suresh, who is the brother of DK Shivkumar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka. What are the key issues there? My colleague Pratibha reports.
There were two strong messages that Union Home Minister Amit Shah sent out as he launched his Lok Sabha campaign for Karnataka at the Channapatna town in Bengaluru's rural parliamentary constituency.
किसान महिला को वोट देंगे या कमल को वोट देंगे, आपका वोट सीधा नरेंद्र मोदी को मिलने वाला है.
The first message was of cohesion with his ally H.D. Kumarasamy, the JDS chief who's the MLA from Channapatna, and the second was to the Congress that the BJP-JDS will challenge it in the only seat that it held in 2019.
आज के रोड शो से मुझे भी विश्वास हो गया है कि कर्नाटक की जनता मोदी जी के साथ है और इस चुनाव में मंजुनाथ जी 5 लाख से ज्यादा वोट से.
During the 2019 Lok Sabha election, while the entire state of Karnataka favored the BJP, this Congress lone MP, DK Suresh, won from Bengaluru Rural. What really made this particular constituency special for the Congress MP? Let's really find out, and also find out whether this constituency this time around will be an easy battle or a tough one for the Congress MP.
मोदी के विचारधारा को जब तक आप नहीं हटाएंगे.
When Congress stalwarts like Mallikarjun Kharge from Kalburgi and 6-time MP K.H. Muniappa from Kolar were defeated in 2019, Suresh and Bengaluru Rural held out. Formed in 2008 after abolishing the Kanakpura Lok Sabha constituency, it is an OBC Vocaliga caste region of influence. H.D. Kumarasamy won this seat in 2009 but resigned in 2013. DK Suresh, who's also from the same caste, took over in the by-election that followed. He later won the 2014 as well as the 2019 elections. How confident are you?
I'm 100% confident, people.
The challenger to Suresh this time is the son-in-law of former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda, Dr. Manjunath. While he's from the JDS's first family, he's contesting on a BJP ticket. The BJP-JDS alliance is the X factor this time, and Manjunath's candidature on a BJP ticket is seen as another message of cohesion between the allies.
In urban segments, BJP has a strong base. In rural segment, JDS has a strong base. So both the parties both the party workers are working in tandem. We are campaigning and also addressing the party workers. There is a lot of jubilation, enthusiasm, energy among the workers. So that makes me feel that I am marching towards the positive goal.
While the doctor is hoping for alliance power and Modi factor to sail him through, the incumbent MP is hoping to prove his grassroots grip on the agrarian and semi-urban vote.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಗ್ರಾಮಾಂತರ ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅವರು MP ಕೋಟಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಆ ಕಾಮಗಾರಿಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತಲುಪಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೇರವಾಗಿ.
ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಬಂದು ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರೊಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆತನ ಇದೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ, ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಮನೋಭಾವನೆ ಇದೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನೆತನ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿದೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ.
It is not just one of the largest constituencies in Bengaluru, but it is a constituency that assumes significance because of the high-stakes battle. The battle is not just between the son-in-law of former PM HD Devegowda, Dr. C.N. Manjunath, but it is a battle between HDK, the JDS president, as well as DK Shivkumar, who is the Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister. DK Shivkumar usurped the Vocaliga vote base, helping the Congress sweep through the recent assembly election in Karnataka. With his relationship having soured with HD Kumarasamy in 2019, there is a battle between the two on who is the real Vocaliga leader in the state. Kumarasamy, meanwhile, is banking on Dr. Manjunath's medical reputation to regain his vote base in the Bengaluru rural belt. Will the cardiologist turned politician manage to bring a change of heart among voters in this fairly new constituency that has been dominated by the Congress? Well, June 4th will have the answer. With camera persons Kumar and Govind, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru Rural for NDTV.
So, keenly contested battle there in Bengaluru Rural. But moving now to our special report. Well, 5 days after Bhopal police registered a case against the son of a state minister, Narendra Shivaji Patil from the BJP. He was caught in a brawl in Bhopal's Shahpur area, remember. The police are yet to receive the medical report of the victim in this particular case, Dennis Martin, who was injured in the incident. The victims have demanded that the charges of attempted murder be added to the case registered against Abhigyan and his friends. Remember, the victims have also said that there is police complicity and that the charges were watered down because he's a powerful minister's son. My colleague Anurag Dwari has the details.
See, on Saturday night, a hotelier couple, one of their employees and a journalist was attacked in the capital of Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal. The incident happened at around 10 p.m. in Shahpura area of Bhopal, and it's been 5 days. The medical reports are still awaited. The police is now saying that they are waiting for the X-ray reports so that they can decide whether to add more sections in the FIR, because the opposition as well as the victims, they're saying that the police should have added 307, which is attempted murder, in that FIR, but the police is saying that they are still waiting to get the medical reports, and they are also examining the CCTV footage of the surroundings there in Shahpura area of Bhopal, but the victims are alleging that this is nothing but just delaying tactics by the police, and they are not happy with the progress, though the police has transferred the case from Shahpura to other police station, which is TT Nagar, Tatya Tope Nagar police station, and the SHO of that particular police station has started his investigation. He has called up both the parties to take their statements, and the police has said that after examining all the evidences, medical reports, then only they can think of adding some more sections in the FIR, and then only they will decide. But now questions are being raised because it's been 5 days and nothing has moved so far, and we just spoke to the victims, and they have said that this is nothing but just they're trying to delay adding more sections in the FIR because of some technical grounds. And our sources have said that the doctors have clearly written that the injuries to the victim Dennis Martin are of grievous nature, so they should have added sections like 307 in the FIR, but the police has maintained that after getting the X-rays and other medical reports, then only they will act in this matter, and then they will only and sources have also said that the party high command of the BJP are not happy, but so far the minister and his son have maintained a silence. We tried speaking to the minister and his family yesterday also, but so far they have not commented anything on this entire episode.
And breaking news is coming in. The Election Commission has sent a notice to Delhi Minister Atishi for alleged election Model Code of Conduct violation. The Election Commission has issued a notice. Remember, in the case where Atishi conducted a press conference recently alleging a poaching bid by the Bharatiya Janata Party, saying that she and several other members of the Aam Aadmi Party have been approached by the BJP in exchange for money. This is not the first time that Delhi Minister Atishi has alleged has made such a claim, but now an EC notice has been sent to her. My senior colleague Mara Shakil is now joining us live on the phone line. So Mara, Delhi ministers in a sense have been on a roll. Multiple times, they've alleged that BJP is reaching out to them with money, but they've not presented any factual basis for it. And that is the EC's contention here as well.
Yes, that's right. And now notice has been issued, but there's a difference here, Vedant, that earlier when all those allegations used to be made by Delhi leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party, there was no model code of conduct. Here it will be seen as a violation of the model code of conduct, and that is the reason why the Election Commission has issued a notice to Atishi, in which they have sought an explanation from her by 12 noon on Monday. And if I were to read the specific point which has been made by the Election Commission is that as a minister in the government of National Capital Territory of Delhi and leader of a national party, the electors tend to believe whatever is being said from the public forum by their leaders, and in that sense, the statements made by them affect the campaign discourse. Whereas it is expected that there must be a factual foundation to the above quote, statements made by you, and when the veracity of the statements made by you is contested, then you must be able to back your statement by a factual basis. So this is what is being said, that Atishi, when she held that press conference, had gone ahead and made a scathing comment by saying that people close to the BJP leadership had approached her and said that she would be arrested next if she doesn't really switch. So I think the Election Commission, having seen that, has gone ahead and said that there is a violation of Model Code of Conduct, prima facie, and the Commission, in fact, received a complaint from the BJP where it is alleged that the misstatement that has been made are unverified and misleading, and hence an explanation has been sought from Atishi.
Mara, thanks very much for joining us with that update there. So an Election Commission notice now. Atishi is already on the radar in the Delhi Jal Board case as well, in which the Enforcement Directorate has submitted its charge sheet in a PMLA court here in the national capital. So more trouble for Atishi. Remember, she is considered to be Arvind Kejriwal's number 2, at least here in Delhi. With that, we'll take a short break. News continues on the other side.
Hello and welcome to NDTV Auto. I'm here in Jaipur for Volkswagen brand conference, and they have made a slew of announcements here. Let's talk more about them with Mr. Ashish Gupta, brand director, Volkswagen India. You have again changed the lineup of Taiwan. What was the purpose behind it, and will that make things simpler for people?
No, I think, the endeavor has been, and if I take you back 2 years when we introduced the Taigun, we introduced it on 2-line structure, the dynamic line, which was basically based on the 1 liter, and the performance line, which was based on the 1.5 liter. Over the period of time, what we have also realized is that customers are not differentiated by, engine types. Customers are more and more moving towards style differentiation. What kind of a style appeals to me, and what kind of a style does not appeal to me or appeals to another set of customers. So the endeavor this time has been to now put our line structure in place to appeal to style more than the differentiation by the engine line. So that's what we have done. So now we have the chrome line, which is more elegant, for the customers who like that kind of a design language, available both on the 1.5 and the 1 liter, and then the sporty look with more black themed exterior and interior elements, which appeals to customers who are looking for more sporty, rugged kind of an appeal that appeals to them. So that's why today we have launched the GT Plus Sport on the Taigun, and also the GT line, which actually brings the GT-ness of our cars into the 1 liter lineup as well with the GT line.
Does this impact pricing?
Yes, of course. If you look at the GT line is now has all the GT elements, including 17-inch wheels, including.
Welcome back. Let's cut across live to where the Congress party is releasing its manifesto. Mega rallies being held in Jaipur and Hyderabad as well. But the Congress party president Mallikarjun Kharge, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, all releasing the manifesto there here in the national capital. There you have it. The Congress chief releasing the manifesto along with Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Remains to be seen what all is there in the Congress's manifesto. Of course, one aspect, really doing the rounds is that the Congress will promise to scrap the PMLA under which various leaders, particularly opposition leaders, have been arrested in the run-up to the Lok Sabha polls. Of course, it also remains to be seen whether the old pension scheme finds a mention in the Congress manifesto. But you have former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram also present there, the Congress's General Secretary K.C. Venugopal there as well. Let's listen.
मैनिफेस्टो कमेटी के अध्यक्ष श्री पी चिदम्बरम साहब से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो इस न्याय पत्र के विषय में कुछ इस पर प्रकाश डालें, आपसे चर्चा करें.
Honorable Congress President, Honorable former Congress President Srimati Sonia Ji, Honorable former Congress President Shri Rahul Ji, General Secretary Shri K.C. Venugopal, members of the Congress Working Committee, senior leaders of the Congress, Karyakartas of the Congress. I'm thankful to the Congress President for releasing the Congress Manifesto for the 2024 elections. Earlier, the draft Congress Manifesto was thoroughly discussed in the Congress Working Committee. The recommendations of the members of the Congress Working Committee were taken into consideration, and with the final approval of the Congress President, some changes were made to the draft manifesto. And what we have today is the final manifesto approved by the Congress Working Committee and the Congress President. The broad theme of the manifesto is justice. Every aspect of justice has been threatened, weakened, diminished, and in some cases denied in the last 10 years, especially in the last 5 years. Members of the media will recall that in 2019, we had warned of what is likely to happen between 2019 and 24 should the BJP come back to power. We were not soothsayers, but we were active workers on the ground who could sense what was happening in this country. I'm sorry to report that what we had predicted in 2019 has come to pass in 2024. We had said institutions will be diminished or captured. That has happened. We had said freedom will be restricted, and that has happened. We had said that the weaker sections of the people will be denied their rights and their privileges. That has happened. We had said that Parliament will be diminished. That has happened. We had said that we will inexorably move towards an autocracy. We are already described as an electoral autocracy by many, many thinkers of the world. That has happened. While we are unhappy that what we had predicted has happened, we have in this manifesto suggested bold measures to reverse the damage that has happened in the last 5 to 10 years. The overall theme of the Congress manifesto is 3 powerful words: work, wealth, and welfare. I shan't take long. I'll explain each word in one sentence. Work means we must create jobs. If anybody had any doubt, read the report of the ILO that was released 10 to 15 days ago. The government came up with a lame defense through the chief economic advisor, but the defense only made it worse. The ILO report shows that unemployment has assumed monstrous proportions in this country. Yesterday, the media carried a report that 30% of the outgoing class in the Indian institutes of technology, the premier institutions of our country, are unemployed. They have not been placed. Jobs, jobs, jobs is a cry everywhere in India. Work encapsulates that section on work. The sections on work encapsulates what we will do to create jobs. The second is wealth. Wealth must be created before it is distributed. On the contrary, the 5 years of the Modi government shows that wages have been stagnant in this country. The average income of the bottom 50% has either remained stagnant or diminished or decreased for the bottom percentiles. We have to create wealth, and that can only be created by growth. The UPA government delivered 8.5% growth in its first term, 2004 to 2009. And over a 10-year period, Dr. Manmohan Singh's government delivered 7.5% growth. Even the futile attempt by the BJP government to revise the figures made it 6.7%. But over the last 10 years, the average growth is only 5.8, and if you count the year that ended on 31st March, given the inflated figures, it will still be 5.9. The difference between 7.5 and 5.9 may appear to be trivial, 1.6%, but it's not a trivial difference. It is a difference that makes between a moderately slowing economy and a robust economy. So the second broad theme is wealth. We have to create wealth, which means we must have investment, capital investment, private investment, government investment, and foreign investment. Once we create jobs and once we set in motion policies that will create wealth, this country will go back to the high growth path of the UPA governments. The third section, which addresses many aspects of justice, is welfare. So work, creating wealth, which results in welfare. The welfare of whom? I have always accused the BJP government, the Modi government, is a government of the rich, by the rich, and for the rich. This government is driven only by the interests of the top 1% of this country. But we have to look at the bottom 50%. The bottom of the pyramid the bottom 50% is as important as those who are well off. And in the bottom 50%, as we go down the ladder, the bottom 20% are extremely poor. It has been estimated that 23 crore people are still poor in this country. UPA government lifted 24 crore people out of poverty. And we promise that if the Congress or a Congress-led government comes to power in 2024, we will lift 23 crore people out of poverty in the next 10 years. That's possible, it's doable, and I conclude by saying the Congress has done it before and we can do it again. I appeal to all of you to spread the message of this manifesto to the nook and corner of this country and ask the people to vote for the hand symbol and to vote for all our allied parties throughout this country. Thank you.
धन्यवाद चिदम्बरम साहब। मैं माननीय राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष श्री मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे साहब से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो 2 शब्द कहें।
आज हमारे कांग्रेस चुनाव घोषणा पत्र जारी करने के मौके पर कांग्रेस पार्टी के भूतपूर्व अध्यक्ष और हमारे चाहते नेता श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी जी और भूतपूर्व अध्यक्ष श्री राहुल गांधी जी और यहाँ पर पधारे हुए हमारे कांग्रेस